Welcome, curious minds, to the deep dive. Today, we're plunging headfirst into the scorching sands and, well, the monumental history of ancient Egypt.
Such a fascinating civilization.
It really is. Even millennia later, it still captivates us, doesn't it? The immense power, the enduring legacies.
Absolutely.
But we're not just here for pyramids and pharaohs in general today. Oh, no. We're zeroing in on one figure, someone so extraordinary, so strategically brilliant, that he's often called the Napoleon of Egypt.
Indeed. I'm talking to Thutmose III. He was the fifth pharaoh of the, well, really illustrious 18th dynasty, reigning from about 1479 to 1425 BC. And his name is, it's basically synonymous with military genius. He's widely seen as one of history's greatest warriors, definitely one of the top military commanders and strategists. It was under his rule that ancient Egypt's empire truly reached its peak.
Its zenith.
Exactly. Stretching its influence, its might, across huge swaths of the ancient Near East. And that Napoleon of Egypt title, it's less about comparing their personalities, maybe, and more about that shared reputation.
For what? Military innovation.
Right. Innovation, rapid conquest, and just empire building on a scale that was pretty much unprecedented for their times.
Okay, so our mission today, for you listening, is to give you the ultimate shortcut, if you like, to understanding what made Thutmose III such a dominant force, during the New Kingdom period.
I'm going to unpack his rise to power, which was complex, actually quite intriguing.
And his military campaigns, they were groundbreaking, weren't they?
Oh, absolutely. Reshaped the ancient world. We'll delve deep into those. And then explore his monumental architectural achievements, things you can still see traces of today.
And of course, we have to touch on the controversies, the enduring ones that still surround his reign.
We've really sifted through the sources, the annals, tomb inscriptions, the latest archaeology, to bring out the core insights.
And maybe some surprising facts about this, well, unparalleled ruler.
And there are definitely some surprises. For instance, many people don't realize he spent a huge chunk of his early reign, 22 years, in a co-regency.
With Hatshepsut, right? The famous female pharaoh.
Exactly. His stepmother and aunt, a situation almost unheard of in Egyptian history. And then there's that whole business with the defacement of her monuments.
Ah, yeah, the mystery.
It's systematic, it's deliberate, and it still sparks intense debate among historians about the real motive. Was it vengeance? Politics?
We'll get into that.
What's fascinating, too, is how his strategic brilliance wasn't just on the battlefield. It extended to consolidating power, meticulous administration. Truly a conqueror without equal in many ways.
Okay, let's unpack this then. We start our journey not with battles, but almost in the nursery. Thutmose III's origins are, well, relatively humble for a future pharaoh, wouldn't you say?
In a way, yes. He was the son of Thutmose II, but not by the great royal wife. His mother was a secondary wife named Iset, or sometimes Aset.
So not the usual path to the throne.
Definitely not. Succession typically favored sons of the principal queen. So this unconventional parentage set the stage for a very unique start.
And he came to the throne incredibly young.
Unbelievably young, just 2 years old.
Wow. A toddler pharaoh.
Can you imagine? The idea of a child inheriting that kind of power, well, it must have created immediate political complexities, to say the least.
Which leads directly to Hatshepsut, I assume.
Exactly. Because he was so young, for the first 22 years of his reign, he was in this co-regency with his stepmother and aunt, Hatshepsut.
And she wasn't just a regent holding his place.
Not at all. That's what makes it so remarkable. She famously assumed the full title of pharaoh, ruled effectively as a male king, adopted all the royal regalia, the divine titles, everything.
But she didn't completely push him aside.
That's the crucial point. Surviving monuments show both of them, with their usual royal names, their insignia. Neither seems to be given obvious seniority. So Hatshepsut never denied kingship to Thutmose III.
So it wasn't a straightforward usurpation, more like
an unprecedented shared authority, perhaps. It suggests a really delicate political balance. She had the royal blood, the influence she ruled, but she acknowledged his legitimate claim.
So he's the king on paper, maybe, but she's the one actually running the show for over 2 decades.
Very much, yes.
That must have been such a formative time. Potentially frustrating, too, for a young man destined to rule.
You'd have to think so.
And during her effective rule, Egypt's focus was mostly internal, right? She was known for trade, like the big expedition to Punt, and internal building projects, keeping things prosperous.
Yes, her reign is often characterized by peace and prosperity, focusing inwards.
Which is great for stability, obviously. But for a young, maybe ambitious future warrior pharaoh, watching diplomacy and building, while maybe external threats were starting to bubble up, what kind of ambition do you think might have been simmering during that quiet waiting period?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? This was definitely the period where Thutmose remained largely in the background, publicly speaking. But he wasn't idle.
His preparation time.
Exactly. His crucial period of preparation. He was trained extensively in military arts strategy, horsemanship, leadership. He'd have seen Hatshepsut's powerful administration up close, how it worked.
Learning by observing.
Precisely. And the psychological side. A young king waiting, overshadowed by this powerful, successful female ruler. It's profound. It's very plausible this unique upbringing gave him deep strategic patience.
Meticulousness, maybe.
Yes, meticulousness born from observation, and probably a burning desire to prove himself when his time came. Imagine that pressure. He's the rightful king, but sort of sidelined, while the world outside Egypt gets restless.
Ah, yes. The gathering storm.
This dynamic likely forged the mind of the future tactical genius, primed him for the explosion of military activity that followed her death. It really speaks to his discipline, his foresight, that he waited, learned, and then at the right moment, launched this incredibly aggressive foreign policy.
And while Hatshepsut was focusing on Punt and temples, the outside world wasn't just sitting still, was it?
Not at all. Our sources suggest that during her reign, Egypt's northern borders, particularly in Syria and Canaan, grew increasingly restless.
We're talking about local princes getting ambitious.
Ambitious Syrian princes, yes, and the growing power of the kingdom of Mitanni further north. These weren't just minor skirmishes. They were real challenges to Egypt's traditional influence in the Levant.
Threatening trade routes, resources.
Exactly. So this quiet waiting period for Thutmose, with these external pressures clearly mounting, it must have been a crucible, shaping his later, very aggressive foreign policy. It's almost like you can picture him meticulously planning his countermoves, even before he had the full power to launch them.
Building that strategic mind.
Absolutely. Learning from Hatshepsut's administration, but also seeing the growing external threats. It likely instilled in him not just patience, but also this burning desire to secure Egypt's borders and really reassert its dominance. He knew true security meant projecting power outward.
He knew what he was waiting for.
I think so. And when Hatshepsut died, he was ready. Ready to unleash decades of pent-up strategic thinking, turning immediately to restoring Egypt's reputation and securing its empire through, well, decisive military action.
And unleash it he did. The moment Hatshepsut died, the sources give us a date, right? 10th day, 6th month, Thutmose's 21st year on the throne.
That's the one.
The ancient Near East seems to have just exhaled and maybe saw an opportunity.
It certainly seems that way. The northern vassal states, maybe feeling emboldened after Hatshepsut's long focus on internal affairs, almost immediately rebelled.
Led by
The king of Kadesh, a major player in modern-day Syria, he formed this powerful coalition of Canaanite princes and marched his combined armies straight to Megiddo.
Megiddo. Strategically vital, wasn't it? Controlled key trade routes.
Absolutely crucial, a crossroads. So this set the stage for what would become one of the most famous, most strategically analyzed battles in all of ancient history.
And Thutmose III's response, was it hesitant? Cautious?
Anything but. It was swift, utterly decisive. It showed everyone this was a new pharaoh, intent on immediately stamping his authority. He wasted zero time.
Okay.
He mustered his army, which was a massive undertaking, tens of thousands of men, supplies, logistics. Our sources say he passed through the border fortress of Jaru or Sile.
That big staging post on the eastern frontier.
Right, heavily fortified. That was on the 25th day of the 8th month. Then he pushed his forces rapidly up the coast as far as Jamnia, then turned inland. By the middle of the 9th month, his army reached Yehem, a small city near Megiddo.
So hundreds of miles in just a few weeks.
Exactly. That speed alone showed a new level of military efficiency and sheer determination.
Right, here's where it gets really good, the strategy bit. The Battle of Megiddo, as recorded in his annals, it was probably the biggest, most audacious of all his campaigns, wasn't it?
Arguably, yes. Especially considering it was his first major outing as sole ruler. He faced this huge strategic problem. A ridge of mountains, Mount Carmel, stood between his army at Yehem and the rebels waiting before Megiddo.
And there were options to get through.
3 routes. His generals, quite reasonably, advised taking the safer, wider northern or southern routes that would let the army march through properly, in formation.
Makes sense. Less risk of ambush.
But Thutmose III, According to those Karnak inscriptions, he just dismissed their advice, reportedly called them cowards, questioned their loyalty if they were scared to follow him.
Wow, bold.
Incredibly bold. And he took the massive gamble. He chose the dangerous, narrow central pass, Aruna. He reportedly declared it was only wide enough for single-file horse after horse and man after man.
That narrow. Really?
Well, modern archaeology suggests maybe it wasn't quite that tight, maybe wide enough for a few chariots side by side, but still, definitely a high-risk move.
Exposed his army completely.
Absolutely. Potential ambush required immense discipline, immense trust that his troops would follow him through that bottleneck. His decision showed incredible daring, massive confidence in his own judgment, and a willingness to just throw conventional military wisdom out the window.
He banked on surprise.
Completely. He knew the element of surprise would be everything.
And did it work?
Like a charm. The Egyptian army burst out onto the plain of Esdraelon, catching the Canaanites totally off guard.
Imagine seeing that. An entire army appearing where you thought they couldn't.
The shock must have been immense. This brilliant flanking move let Thutmose cut right between the back of the Canaanite forces and the city of Megiddo itself, isolated them.
Brilliant. And the date. We have a specific date for the battle.
We do, remarkably. From Thutmose's annals at Karnak, our best source here. Year 23, Shimu, day 21, the exact day of the Feast of the New Moon. That corresponds to May 9th, 1457 BC.
Amazing precision. So the battle itself was a quick victory.
The initial rout of the Canaanites was swift, yes.
Yeah.
Very decisive. But then we see a moment where discipline slipped.
Ah, what happened?
While Thutmose had them running, his troops, caught up in the victory, stopped to plunder the battlefield. They got distracted collecting gold, silver, chariots, all the spoils.
Instead of chasing the enemy.
Exactly. Instead of pursuing them and potentially storming the city right then. This tactical lapse meant that many Canaanites managed to escape into Megiddo.
So no quick finish.
No. It forced Thutmose to lay siege to Megiddo. A long, tough, resource-draining siege that lasted a full 7 or 8 months.
Wow.
Before the city, starved out, finally surrendered. It just highlights how even a genius like Thutmose depended on his troops' discipline. And sometimes, well, human nature gets in the way.
Still, despite the long siege, the overall impact must have been huge.
Oh, colossal. Taking Megiddo completely changed the political map of the Near East. It gave Egypt solid control over northern Canaan, securing vital trade routes, farmland.
And forced the local rulers into line.
Definitely. The Syrian princes had to start sending regular tribute, serious amounts of gold, silver, lapis, cattle, grain, and critically, they had to send noble hostages, usually their sons, to Egypt.
As guarantees.
Guarantees of loyalty. And it wasn't just the immediate neighbors, even distant kings, Assyrian, Babylonian, Hittite kings, they saw what happened, and they started sending gifts.
Which Thutmose called tribute, I bet.
You bet he did. Claimed it proudly on the walls of Karnak. This battle cemented his reputation as a military genius. It became the blueprint for his future campaigns. And significantly, the only major power not sending tribute now was Mitanni.
Setting them up as the next big target.
Precisely. The stage was set for decades of sustained imperial expansion.
It wasn't just a military win then, was it? It was psychological.
Absolutely. A profound psychological blow across the entire region. The sheer audacity of the Aruna Pass strategy, the speed of his response, the eventual victory, it told every kingdom, every city-state, Egypt is back and this new pharaoh means business.
No more tolerating rebellion.
None. It shifted the whole balance of power, created a new geopolitical reality. This was Egypt, the superpower, making its grand re-entry, and suddenly all eyes were on Thebes.
And listeners, that was just the start. Megiddo was huge, yes, but it was just campaign number 1 for Thutmose as sole ruler. Over the next 2 decades, he personally led an astonishing number of military ventures.
At least 16 campaigns in 20 years is the usual count, though some sources might push it slightly higher. And the key thing, every single one recorded was victorious.
Yeah, incredible.
He captured, they say, 350 cities, conquered vast areas of the Near East from the Euphrates River in the north, deep into Nubia in the south. He literally transformed Egypt from a regional player into an international superpower, an empire bigger and more influential than anything Egypt had known before.
That consistency is just staggering. How do we know so much detail about these campaigns?
We're actually quite lucky with primary sources. There are the detailed writings of his royal scribe and army commander, a man named Thununi. He often went with the pharaoh on campaign recording events.
First-hand accounts.
Exactly. And even more famous are the annals of Thutmose III, inscribed on the walls of the Temple of Amun at Karnak. These aren't just dry lists. Their detailed accounts listing conquered cities, captured booty, even his own reflections, an unparalleled insight into his military mind.
It wasn't just about numbers, though, was it? He was innovating militarily, too.
Absolutely. His success wasn't just relentless campaigning. It was built on revolutionary developments in military tech and strategy. He didn't invent the horse-drawn chariot, the Hyksos, introduced those earlier.
Right.
But Thutmose III was the one who fully integrated them, perfected their use, developed highly effective chariot divisions that could just shatter enemy lines.
And the Navy, that was his thing.
Yes, he's credited with creating the ancient Egyptian Navy. Sources call it the first navy in the ancient world, designed for projecting power, not just trade.
Wow. And the boat thing, carrying boats over land.
That's perhaps the most astonishing bit. He famously portaged boats over dry land, literally dragged ships, likely in sections, hundreds of miles across deserts and plains to launch them unexpectedly on distant rivers like the Euphrates.
Catching enemies completely off guard.
Totally. This was a guy constantly thinking outside the box, constantly innovating, even in ancient warfare.
Okay, so let's walk through some of these campaigns briefly. After Megiddo, what came next?
Well, campaigns 2, 3, and 4 seem to have been mainly tours through Canaan and Syria. More about consolidating the win, collecting tribute.
Showing the flag.
Pretty much. One interesting detail from this time is that survey of animals and plants he found in Canaan. He had it illustrated back at Karnak, like a botanical record.
A stone botanical garden shows curiosity, right? Not just conquest.
It does. And a practical interest in the resources of his new territories. He also set up a key fort in Lower Lebanon during this period, mainly to secure timber supplies. Wood was vital for his navy and building projects, and scarce in Egypt itself.
Smart. Then things escalated again.
Yes. Campaigns 5, 6, and 7 were focused on the direct conquest of Syria. He starts systematically taking key Phoenician cities along the coast, vital for sea power. And he keeps hammering away at Kadesh, that recurring rival.
Taking cities like Ardata, Ulaza.
Exactly. And he started garrisoning Jahi, probably southern Syria, putting Egyptian troops there permanently. Made logistics easier, kept control tighter.
And the hostage policy started around then, too.
Yes, a crucial development. Taking sons of local rulers to be educated in Egypt, steeped them in Egyptian culture, fostered loyalty, aimed particularly at those Mitanni-aligned elites. It was a long-term strategy to prevent rebellion. Plus, he cleverly seized grain stores to starve out potential resistance. Total warfare, really. Military and economic pressure combined.
Right. Then Campaign 8, the big one against Mitanni.
The pivotal moment, arguably. Attacking Egypt's main rival for dominance. And the key was crossing the Euphrates. An almost unimaginable feat back then.
How did he manage the boats?
He sailed troops and supplies to Byblos on the coast, had boats built there or maybe brought in sections, then transported them overland hundreds of miles on ox carts across mountains and deserts to the Euphrates.
Completely bypassing Mitanni defenses?
Exactly. They just weren't expecting an attack from that direction. He caught their king totally by surprise.
And once across...
He basically had free reign for a while. Pillaged cities, gathered huge amounts of booty. He even put up a victory stele next to one his grandfather, Thutmose I, had erected decades before, marking his own crossing of the Great River.
A bit of one-upmanship.
Perhaps. He also went on a famous elephant hunt in Nidi, a detail showing his personal bravery, the exotic lands he'd reached. Then headed back to Egypt, laden with tribute. It was a massive statement of Egypt's reach.
Okay, so after hammering Mitanni, what next? Just maintaining control.
Pretty much. Campaigns 9 through 16 were largely about consolidation. More tours of Syria, collecting tribute, putting down minor revolts, strategic raids.
Like Campaign 9, a raid on Nukasha.
Right, semi-nomadic people there, likely just suppressing local resistance or enforcing tribute payments. Campaign 10 is interesting, though.
Why?
Around his 35th year, the king of Mitanni raised another big army, met the Egyptians near Aleppo. The most typically claimed a crushing win, but the recorded plunder was tiny, like 10 prisoners.
Suggests maybe it wasn't such a rout.
Could have been more of a hard-fought stalemate. But significantly, he did receive tribute from the Hittites after that campaign. So even if it wasn't a total victory, Egypt clearly came out on top, solidifying his dominant position.
Right. Campaigns 11, 12, 13. More routine stuff.
Seems likely. Tribute tours, maybe another minor campaign in New Hache.
Yeah.
Campaign 14 was against the Shasu, those desert nomads who were always a potential threat to trade routes.
And his final campaign in Asia, number 16.
That one's better documented. Shows the ongoing challenge of empire. Sometime before his 42nd year, Mitanni stirred up widespread revolt across Syria again.
Trying to regain influence.
Exactly. Thutmose responded decisively, marched his troops up the coast, systematically crushed rebellions in the Arka Plain, took the city of Tunip, destroyed 3 nearby Mitannian garrisons near Kadesh.
A solid victory then.
A significant one, yes. Though maybe not totally permanent. He didn't take Kadesh itself, and Tunip probably drifted away after his death. But the tribute list afterwards included Adana, a city in Cilicia, showing his influence had pushed even further. It highlights the constant effort needed to hold such a vast empire together.
Wow. And then finally, Campaign 17, south this time.
Yes, his very last campaign, in his 50th year on the throne, an incredible milestone. He attacked Nubia to the south.
How far did he get?
He pushed further south than any previous Egyptian army, reaching the fourth cataract of the Nile, a remarkable penetration deep into Africa.
Was that purely military conquest?
It's interesting because Egyptian culture had already spread deep into Nubia for centuries. There's even an Egyptian document found at Gebel Barkal dated 3 years before this campaign.
So culture came first, then the army.
It often did. Cultural influence, trade links, kind of soft power that Thutmose then solidified with military force. He wasn't just conquering, he was fully incorporating these lands into the Egyptian sphere using multiple approaches.
What stands out through all this isn't just the fighting, is it? It's the organization behind it all.
Absolutely. His administrative brilliance was just as crucial as his battlefield tactics. He knew conquest wasn't enough for a lasting empire.
That hostage policy, educating the sons of foreign rulers.
Revolutionary. Bringing them to Egypt, steeping them in Egyptian ways, then sending them back to rule. It fostered loyalty, spread Egyptian influence, ensured long-term stability far better than just military occupation.
It wasn't just raids then, it was calculated empire building.
Sustained, calculated effort, leveraging military might and shrewd politics. And think about the logistics, supplying those armies, food, water, weapons, medics, for tens of thousands of men, plus horses, chariots across vast distances, for decades.
An astounding achievement in itself.
It really speaks to the incredible organizational capacity of his administration. He basically professionalized Egyptian warfare, turned it into a standing imperial force.
So with all this wealth pouring in tribute, trade, and this huge empire, what does a pharaoh like Thutmose III do with it all back home?
He builds. He was, without a doubt, a prolific builder. Transformed the landscape of Egypt and even parts of his empire.
How many temples?
Sources say over 50 temples. Some are lost now. We only know them from text, but still, an incredible number. He also commissioned countless tombs for his nobles, and the craftsmanship in those tombs was noted as being better than ever before.
Reflecting the prosperity.
Exactly. The immense resources, the artistic talent available during his reign. It wasn't just quantity, it was about quality, a distinctive artistic vision. Glorifying the gods, yes, but also immortalizing his own massive achievements.
Were there distinct artistic changes during his reign, a Thutmoside style?
There were definite stylistic shifts. Sculpture, painting, reliefs became perhaps more dynamic, more expressive. For instance, after his 42nd year, we see statues of him wearing the red crown of Lower Egypt and the Oni kilt, a traditional garment, in a way not seen before in official statuary, maybe signaling renewed focus on Lower Egypt as his empire grew north.
Interesting. And architecturally, any innovations?
Yes. His use of heraldic pillars. These were large, often ornate columns that stood alone, not supporting a roof, usually bearing his royal symbols. A unique feature adds real grandeur.
And the basilica style? He invented that?
Well, his Jubilee Hall is arguably the earliest known building created in what we'd call a basilica style, that central nave higher than the side aisles. It definitely influenced architecture for centuries, right through Roman times and beyond.
That's incredible, that foresight. And it wasn't just big buildings.
No, his artisans pushed boundaries elsewhere, too. Tombs from his time were the earliest to be entirely painted, rather than using painted reliefs. Images applied directly to plaster, allowing for vibrant colors, fluid lines, a different aesthetic.
Right.
And in decorative arts, they really advanced glass-making skills. They perfected creating these exquisite drinking vessels, using the core-formed method building glass around a temporary core. Intricate shapes, beautiful colors. He was truly fostering innovation across multiple fields.
But the main focus of his building was Karnak, wasn't it?
Unquestionably. The Karnak Temple Complex, the heart of Amun-Ra worship in Thebes. He poured far more resources into Karnak than anywhere else. It became this monumental testament to his reign and the god's glory.
What did he add there?
Massive additions. He rebuilt the hypostyle hall, that huge hall filled with columns originally built by his grandfather Thutmose I. And, controversially, he dismantled Hatshepsut's beautiful red chapel.
Ah, To build his own things.
Yes, he used the space to build Pylon the Sixth, a massive gateway, and a new, bigger shrine for the sacred bark of Amun. He added an antechamber with his special heraldic pillars, and he built a huge Thutmose wall, enclosing the central sacred area, incorporating smaller chapels, workshops, storerooms, making it a vast, integrated complex.
And the festival hall, that was his too.
Yes, the magnificent festival hall, built east of the main sanctuary, specifically for his said festival.
The Royal Jubilee, right?
No.
Celebrated after 30 years.
Exactly. A crucial ritual to rejuvenate the king's power. And this hall has that unique basilica-style central pillars higher than the side ones, creating clerestory windows to let light flood in. Really innovative.
And didn't it have those plant and animal reliefs, the botanical garden in stone?
Yes. One of my favorite details. 2 smaller rooms off the main hall contained those reliefs, meticulously depicting the plants and animals he encountered on his 3rd campaign in Canaan. Immortalizing his conquests and the wonders of his empire shows that curious, almost scientific side again.
He also put up obelisks, didn't he? Those giant stone needles.
He did. They symbolized the sun god. He erected 2 huge ones at the south face of Pylon the Seventh at Karnak. The eastern base is still there, the western one. It got transported all the way to Constantinople by the Romans.
And it's still there.
Yes, now known as the Obelisk of Theodosius, a testament to its enduring power. And even more famous, he planned the Tekenwati, the unique obelisk, designed to be the tallest ever cut.
An incredible engineering challenge.
Absolutely. It was so massive it wasn't actually erected until his son, Thutmose IV, did it 35 years later. And where is it now?
Rome.
The Lateran obelisk in Rome. His ambition literally reached across millennia and continents.
Amazing. What else at Karnak? A sacred lake?
Yes, he dug a huge sacred lake, about 250 by 400 feet, probably used for religious ceremonies, processions involving the god's bark. He put an alabaster bark shrine near it too, enhancing the sacred landscape.
And the botanical garden reliefs were part of this overall project.
Right. Royal artists commissioned to depict all that exotic fauna and flora, bringing his discoveries to life in stone.
So these buildings, these monuments, they weren't just structures, they were messages, weren't they?
Absolutely. Powerful propaganda in stone, cementing his legacy, showing his piety, displaying the immense wealth flooding in from the empire. They were visual statements of unprecedented power and confidence.
Impressing everyone from his own people to foreign visitors.
Exactly. Proclaiming his dominion over the world and his special relationship with the gods. Reflecting the prosperity of his reign and the divine favor he clearly believed he had.
Okay, speaking of power, legacy. And maybe controlling the narrative. This brings us to one of the really controversial bits. The erasure of Hatshepsut.
A perplexing aspect of his reign. After her death, well, quite a while after, as we'll see, her name and image were systematically attacked on monuments all across Egypt.
Including her famous temple at Deir el-Bahri.
Especially there. Colossal statues toppled, smashed. Inscriptions meticulously chiseled out. Her royal cartouches, those ovals with her name physically replaced with Thutmose III's name, or sometimes his father's, Thutmose II.
Who were erasing her from history.
Attempting to. Even monuments of her chief steward, Senenmut, who was closely tied to her rule, were similarly defaced. It was a thorough, deliberate act of historical revisionism.
And for years, the accepted theory was just revenge, right?
Yeah, that was the early view, yes. Prominent Egyptologists like James Henry Breasted popularized the idea that Thutmose III was bitter, never forgave Hatshepsut for, as they saw it, usurping the throne and overshadowing him for 22 years.
So the triumphant male pharaoh finally getting his own back, settling a personal score.
That was the narrative. It seemed to make simple psychological sense.
But recent scholarship throws doubt on that, doesn't it? Especially the timing.
The timing is the biggest problem with the vengeance theory. Our sources show the erasures didn't start until year 46 or 47 of Thutmose III's reign. That's around 1433 or 1432 BC.
Which is, how long after Hatshepsut died?
Nearly 25 years after her death. And not immediately after he took sole power, which is when you'd expect a vengeful king to act.
Why wait a quarter of a century if it was personal?
Exactly. It suggests a more complex, calculated motive simmering for a long time, or perhaps triggered by later events.
And wasn't there other evidence against a personal grudge? He worked with her officials.
Correct. He'd commanded her armies during her reign, implying some level of trust. After her death, he kept many of her key religious and administrative figures in place. No sign of a purge.
Continuity, not revenge.
And perhaps most tellingly, he built his own magnificent mortuary temple right next door to hers at Deir el-Bahri. Would you really build your eternal home right beside someone you despise so much? It seems unlikely.
Okay, so if not personal vengeance, what's the current thinking?
Politics.
Politics seems much more likely. By the time the erasures kicked off, Thutmose III was elderly, and crucially, he was in a co-regency with his son, Amenhotep II.
Ah, the succession angle.
Precisely. The leading theory now is that it was about ensuring a smooth, unquestioned succession for Amenhotep II. His claim to the throne wasn't necessarily rock solid, maybe not born to the chief queen early on, for example.
And Hatshepsut represented a potential complication. Her successful reign as a female pharaoh could have provided a precedent, or maybe there were surviving relatives of hers with strong claims. By erasing her from the official record, they removed a potential rallying point or justification for any rival claimants,
Making Amenhotep II's path clear.
solidifying his legitimacy.
Yeah.
And Amenhotep II himself later even claimed he would build some of the structures he defaced, showing how the historical narrative was being actively manipulated.
Why the delay, though? Why wait until year 46, 47?
One compelling idea is that it might have been delayed until certain powerful officials died off, people who had served loyally under both Hatshepsut and the Thutmose III.
People who remembered her reign, her legitimacy.
Exactly. Individuals who might have protected her memory while they were alive. Only after they passed was it perhaps politically safe or necessary to undertake such a drastic revision of history.
Wow. So this whole controversy, it adds this layer of mystery, doesn't it? To Thutmose III's otherwise glorious reign.
It really does. It reveres how power isn't just about the present, it's about controlling the past to secure the future. It's a stark reminder of how fragile historical memory can be and how easily it can be manipulated for political ends. What does that tell us about power and memory back then? It's fascinating.
It really is that even after death, a ruler's legacy is still actively managed, shaped for future power. Okay, speaking of death, let's move to the final chapter. The pharaoh's final rest. How long did he reign in total?
We know his reign length quite precisely, thanks to an inscription in the tomb biography of a military commander named Amenheb-Mahu. He died in his 54th regnal year.
54 years on the throne.
An incredibly long time. The specific date given is the 30th day of the third month of Perit. That translates to March 11th, 1425 BC. So he reigned for 53 years, 10 months, and 26 days.
Though as sole pharaoh, it was closer to 30 years, right? After the co-regency.
Just over 30 years as sole ruler, yes. Still an amazing tenure.
And his tomb, where was it found?
His tomb, KV 34, was found in the Valley of the Kings, the main royal burial ground. It was discovered by Victor Loret back in 1898.
What's the tomb like? Typical for the time.
The basic plan is typical for the 18th dynasty. It has that sharp turn in the corridor leading down to the burial chamber. And it has that quadrangular shaft, or, well, before the antechamber.
A trap for robbers, or maybe symbolic?
Probably both. Designed maybe to deter robbers or catch floodwaters, but it also had symbolic meanings related to the journey into the underworld. Standard design, yes. But what's inside KV-34 makes it really unique and historically priceless.
Okay, what makes it so special?
One of the most significant finds was in the antechamber, or vestibule, a complete version of the Amduat.
The Book of the Hidden Chamber, right. The Guide to the Afterlife.
Exactly, that which is in the afterworld. It details the sun god Re's journey through the 12 hours of the night, overcoming dangers, ensuring rebirth at dawn. And the pharaoh journeyed with him.
And this was the first complete version found.
The very first tomb where the complete text was discovered, inscribed right on the walls. It gave us invaluable insight into their beliefs about the afterlife, the pharaoh's cosmic role.
Amazing. And the burial chamber itself.
It's unusual. It's oval-shaped. The ceiling is beautifully painted with yellow stars on a blue background, symbolizing the night sky, or maybe the cave of Sokar, the underworld god.
And the sarcophagus.
A large, magnificent sarcophagus made of red quartzite, and it's carved in the shape of a royal cartouche. A very clear statement of his eternal royal identity.
What about the pillars in the chamber?
They're really interesting. One has passages from the Litanies of Re, inscribed on it, prayers celebrating the sun god's many forms, connecting the pharaoh to the solar cycle. The other pillar has this unique, quite touching image.
Which is?
Thutmose III being suckled by the goddess Isis, but she's depicted in the form of a sycamore tree.
Wow. Symbolizing rebirth. Nourishment.
Divine nourishment, rebirth, protection from the goddess. A really powerful, intimate image of the bond between the king and the divine mother figure.
And the artistic style of the decorations. You mentioned the Amduat text.
The overall style is fascinating. It's described as simple or diagrammatic. The figures and hieroglyphs look like they were copied directly from a funerary papyrus using cursive script rather than detailed raised reliefs you see in other tombs.
More like line drawings.
Kind of.
Yeah.
Simple black figures and text on a cream background, with just touches of red and pink for highlights. It gives the tomb a very distinct, almost stark, maybe scholarly feel, compared to some later, more colorful tombs. Emphasis on the text, perhaps.
But the purpose was still the same, ensuring rebirth.
Absolutely. The decorations, especially the Amduat, depict the pharaoh actively helping the gods defeat Apep, the serpent of chaos, who tries to stop the sun god's journey every night.
So by helping the gods.
He helped ensure the sun would rise again each day, guaranteeing cosmic order, Ma'at, and by extension, guaranteeing his own resurrection and eternal life. It reinforces his crucial role in maintaining balance even after death.
Okay, now for the most personal part. The mummy itself. Where was Thutmose III found? Not in his tomb, right?
No, like many pharaohs, his tomb was robbed in antiquity. His mummy was discovered in that famous Deir el-Bahri cache, DB 320, back in 1881.
The secret hiding place where priests moved royal mummies for safety?
Exactly. Found alongside legends like Ramesses II, Seti I, a real treasure trove of Egyptian royalty hidden away.
And who unwrapped him? Was it Gaston Maspero?
Well, that's the common story, but the sources say it was actually Emile Brouche first, who oversaw the removal of the mummies from the cache in 81. Apparently, he was unwrapped briefly right after arrival at the museum in Cairo, while Maspero was away, then ordered rewrapped.
So when Maspero officially unwrapped it in 1886...
He likely already knew it wasn't in great shape.
And not great shape is putting it mildly, from what I've read.
It's an understatement. The mummy had suffered terrible damage. First from the ancient tomb robbers who ripped through the wrappings looking for jewels and amulets.
Destroying things in their haste.
Absolutely. And then, more recently, the Rasul family, who rediscovered the cache, had apparently also tampered with the mummies, cutting wrappings, maybe taking small items before they reported the find.
So Maspero's description must have been pretty grim.
It's quite vivid, almost heartbreaking. He described how the body had been torn out of its coffin, stripped, rifled, injured in the process. He noted how the ancient restorers, the priests who moved the mummy to the cache, had tried to give it some firmness back.
How?
By literally compressing the damaged body between 4 oar-shaped slips of wood, painted white, placed inside and outside the wrappings, basically splinting the remains together.
Wow. Just holding it together.
Pretty much.
But the face was okay.
Remarkably, yes. Protected by a layer of funerary pitch or resin, the face was largely intact. But Maspero famously wrote that its appearance did not answer to our ideal of the conqueror.
What did he note?
He described an abnormally low forehead, deeply sunk eyes, heavy jaw, thick lips, and extremely prominent cheekbones. He thought it resembled Thutmose II, his father, but with more energy. Apparently, Maspero was so disheartened by the mummy's condition, he refused to unwrap another one for several years.
I can understand why. It really brings home their mortality, doesn't it? Even the greatest conquerors end up damaged, vulnerable.
It's a powerful reminder.
How tall was he estimated to be?
The anatomist Grafton Elliott Smith studied the mummy later and estimated its height at 1.615 meters. That's about 5 foot 3.5 inches.
But his feet were missing.
Yes, the feet were missing, so he was definitely taller than that in life. Maybe closer to average height for the time.
And people can see him today. Where is the mummy now?
Yes, if you want that tangible link to the past. His mummy, along with many others, was moved in that spectacular Pharaoh's Golden Parade in 2021. It's now housed in the National Museum of Egyptian Civilization in Cairo.
An incredible journey for him, even after death.
Indeed. That personal glimpse of his remains, it really connects you to the past. Reminds you, these are real people, even the legendary figures. And the details from his tomb, the Amduat, the art, it all reveals so much about their deep beliefs about the afterlife, beliefs that really shaped their entire civilization.
The care taken, the rituals, the symbolism in the tomb, it underscores how vital the pharaoh's journey into the afterlife was believed to be.
Not just for him, but for the continued stability and well-being of Egypt itself. His role as maintainer of Ma'at continued beyond death.
Well, what an incredible deep dive that was. We've really journeyed through the profound impact of Thutmose III's reign. That title, Napoleon of Egypt, it really feels earned, doesn't it?
It does. His military genius was just extraordinary, leading to that unprecedented expansion of Egypt's empire, pushing its borders further than ever before.
And his legacy isn't just in war column, but literally carved in stone. Those monumental building projects still inspire awe today.
Absolutely. We've touched on his strategic brilliance, yes, but also that meticulous administration needed to hold it all together. And of course, that fascinating puzzle of Hatshepsut's erasure.
Right. That act speaks volumes, doesn't it? About power, about succession, about how history itself can be rewritten.
It's a powerful reminder that the past can be a battleground, with narratives shaped and reshaped for future political aims.
So, wrapping this up, what's the big takeaway for us, looking back millennia later? Thutmose III's reign didn't just create a massive Egyptian empire. It really showed how a ruler could profoundly shape the present, control the narrative of the past,
And ultimately influence the course of the future.
So here's a final thought for you to mull over. What enduring lessons can we draw from Thutmose III's story? About leadership, about the relentless pursuit of power, and about that really complex, often fraught relationship between conquest and cultural legacy. His story resonates far beyond ancient Egypt, doesn't it?
It truly does. It invites us to think about how leaders throughout history have faced these same fundamental challenges: authority, ambition, and the desire for a legacy that lasts forever.